Good morning, everybody. This is Kekuni Minton from the Sensorimotor Psychotherapy Institute, and we have been doing the 6 principles of sensorimotor psychotherapy, 5 of which we received from Ron Kurtz, who was the founder of Hakomi. And so we're going to do the last principle today, which is nonviolence. And we've done in previous weeks the other 5 principles, which are beginning with mindfulness, mind, body, spirit holism, which talks about the vertical integration in an individual between their spirit, their mind, their emotions, their body. And then the next principle is unity, which is that capacity to state share between 2 people, or to be able to actually have the intersubjective field. The experience of the intersubjective field is another way it's put in psychology. In contrast to unity, which really speaks to the ability for 2 people to share a state, organicity is that principle from Gregory Bateson, which talks about how each living being has its own guiding organic intelligence, and that intelligence in our client is going to take them in probably different directions than we would have ever taken. So that ability to be present with a client in their own kind of next step of development, and just creating that environment where they can actually find their own step of development rather than you educating them as to what it is. The next principle was relational alchemy, which really spoke to that ability to be authentic in relationship with your client if you choose that that's the thing that would be best for them. Always that's the bar we have to meet, is that the therapy is for the benefit of the client, but sometimes to share our authentic feelings that come up in relation to that client based on what's triggered inside of us when we're in relationship with them, and making that environment of kind of everything is workable between the 2 of you, which is probably a new experience for many of your clients. And then today's principle is nonviolence. And of course, nonviolence is not going to be referring to whether or not violent feelings come up in therapy. That happens all the time. But what the attitude of the therapist is towards the client. How can they meet their organicity, their own organic next step of intelligence and development? How can we meet that in a way that we're really open to the difference between their path and our own? So we're going to begin now with the mindfulness. So let's close our eyes and just notice the present state that we find ourselves in. Just noticing the speed and quality of our thoughts, and dropping down a level of perhaps a brain, and just getting a sense of what feelings or emotions are coming up in our bodies. And actually allow your awareness to drop to that place in your body where you go to find emotions, whether it's in your throat, your heart, your solar plexus, your gut. And then just also on the sensorimotor level, just getting the sense of each inhale and each exhale, just feeling how deep in your body you feel each inhale go, perhaps all the way to your pelvic floor. And to get a sense of nonviolence, the principle of nonviolence, we're going to study 2 different modes in relationship: reactionary mode and relational mode. So let's bring up in front of us someone who we have a big reaction to. Could be our partner, could be a client, friend, or relative. And imagine this person in a kind of a triggering mode, and just feel your own reactionary kind of mode with them. let yourself go there. Just as petty and juvenile and judgmental as you can be. And just notice the kind of thoughts that come up, probably categorical. He or she always, or they always, or never. And just feel yourself go into reactionary mode. Perhaps your shoulders tense, your chest area, your face. Defensive, triggered, reactionary. And just notice how you think of this other person. What kind of thoughts, projections, judgments do you have about them? And just let yourself go wild for a few moments. All the negative thoughts and feelings you have about this person sometimes. And this is your reactionary mode in your body, your emotions, your relationships, thoughts. So feel yourself in it. Where you station your awareness in your body, what kind of information you receive from the environment, particularly this person, how you filter it, perhaps judge them. And notice if your body is leaning forward or backwards. If your chest or heart area feels protected or open. And then let's slowly move from reactionary mode to relational mode, where the attitude in relational mode is this too is workable. Or as Ron used to put it, nothing ultimate is at stake. Nothing ultimate is at stake. It's a workable situation. You're in relational mode, more social engagement than ventral vagal, than sympathetic mode, fight or flight mode. So just feel yourself coming into that relational mode. Perhaps the muscles in your face soften, your neck, your shoulders, your gut, pelvic floor. And the principle of nonviolence speaks to that capacity to be relational, to be curious, to be open and present with someone, even someone who you don't normally wouldn't get along with. And just feel yourself coming into presence, even curiosity. Like what makes them tick? What are they longing for? What's their vulnerable human spirit wishing that they could experience? And just being curious about that. Ron used to talk about experience of non-egocentric nourishment. Nourishment that doesn't feed your ego, but just your spirit. And what about this person feels like just nourishing to be with? Their earnestness, their desire to heal, their longing to be a better person or a more whole person, more integrated person. And just for a moment, feel the difference between reactionary mode, which we were in a few minutes ago, and relational nonviolent mode, where you're really taking in the experience of the other person with nonviolence, acceptance, compassion, curiosity. It's a different physiological experience than reactionary mode, a lot less defensive in your body, more openness perhaps in your face, your heart area, solar plexus area. And there has to be a certain kind of humility and vulnerability in yourself to be this open to another person. The acceptance of being flawed. So you have a nonviolent attitude towards your own flaws, your own hurt parts, your own longings for healing or integration or wholeness. So just feel your state in that being nonviolent, open, compassionate towards whatever is emerging in your experience, which includes your experience of this other person. Doesn't mean you don't have your own reactions to them. It means that you can stay curious and mindful, present with them, even if they trigger parts of yourself. So we've explored two modes this morning, reactionary mode and relational mode, with the notion of nonviolence being there. Being able to nonviolently accept your own vulnerability and be present with another. Open to their experience, even if it's their experience of judgments of us. To be curious and compassionate. So let's begin to open our eyes. And let's imagine going through our day, not just in psychotherapy, but our everyday life, with a bit of mindfulness, mind, body, spirit, holism, unity, or state sharing with other people sometimes, or organicity, letting their organicity come up, the guiding intelligence of other people that we see on the street or meet in a cafe. That capacity for relational alchemy, to notice our own triggered unconscious parts that come up in relationship to other people. Sometimes even sharing those, some vulnerability with these other people. And then the last principle, which is nonviolence, which is this ability to meet life with acceptance, finding each different moment to be workable, being open to it. What's the experience of this moment? So for us in Sensorimotor Psychotherapy Institute, these principles are not only kind of milestones or guideposts to psychotherapy, but they also together create kind of a spiritual path. And I don't mean anything too metaphysical, more like a practice of being present in life with our clients, with ourselves, with our loved ones, and what that capacity to be present is about. And that's what these 6 principles are. Different ways of thinking about what's it like to be present and open to life experience. So this is our last meditation together. It's been really enjoyable for me to explore these principles together with you. And it's been really wonderful to see that people have joined me from around the world. So all the best to all of you. Be safe, be kind to yourself and to others. Think about these principles maybe now and then, and I look forward to seeing you sometime in the near future. Take care. Bye-bye.